TV.
Big success. We have several reports on the story, beginning with Terry Bertha.
For about 2.5 hours today, Nicolet High School's halls were cleared. Students were confined to classrooms, not allowed to leave, even to use the restrooms. About 24 law enforcement officials, sheriff's deputies in Glen.
The message came today in the form of a drug raid at Nicolet High School. Local agents and drug-sniffing dogs swept the school inside and out. Good evening, I'm Melody Wilson.
Many lockers within the school had contained some type of narcotics.
But despite their scent, no drugs were found in any lockers. A similar story outside where the dogs alerted on several vehicles.
That means he gave a positive indication for drugs or the odor.
Parking lot to search cars. Well, this white import, for example, was searched with the owner's consent, and a small amount of marijuana was found. Today's operation began after Glendale police received information following a...
Hood were sealed, a tow truck called. Minutes later, the student okayed the search. Deputies say marijuana was found inside. A second car also apparently contained some. The third confiscation was made when a student was searched. All three were arrested.
We believe all students have the right to attend school in a drug-free environment, and the Nicolet administration is prepared to take all legal steps to ensure that opportunity.
While today's actions will undoubtedly draw attention to the drug,
going to help the kids, and they should do it.
I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's happening in every school. And by searching the lockers, it's not going to stop the problem.
The students freely admit there is a serious drug problem here. Recently, this flyer, entitled Nickel Bag High Times, was slipped into every locker in one wing of the school. It is instructional in the use of marijuana and LSD.
You know, I'm not going to do drugs, and I'm not going to read that and then start doing it, you know?
Yeah, but for people who do drugs and they see something like this, it's something new. Maybe they become interested in it.
Some students were searched when they requested to use a restroom. Well, there were some objections. They did consent to the search.
They make me take my shoes and socks and my jacket. They searched everything on me, and I think that's unfair.
The school defends what it calls this aggressive action, which it says is legal.
The moral commitment that we all have is to provide a drug-free environment for our students.
School officials and police say this may have been the first in the area, but it most certainly will not be the last. Mark McLaughlin, News 4.
Today's search is probably the main topic of conversation tonight as students and parents sit down at the dinner table.
Let's continue our team report now on the drug sweep in Nicolet High School. Here's News 4's Mike Strelo with reaction from parents.
Pulled this bag of marijuana from his pocket and then showed us another one he had hidden in his shoe.
I got it because someone was trying to get rid of it. And the cops, I had it on me when I was frisked.
So many kids we talked with act like drugs are no big deal, just an everyday part of life, in school and after school.
Some people feel that if they don't do them, they're not accepted into our school.
Nickel Bag High.
Nickel Bag High.
Nickel Bag High is what students have nicknamed their school. A nickel bag is a baggie of marijuana, and the kids say they can get it when...
So everybody's saying their name around school, maybe ruining their reputation, and it's totally ridiculous that they're doing this.
Andy Kett's car was searched when a drug dog hit on the ashtray.
It's kind of like unfair. I mean, it's a good way to find stuff, I guess, except for you can get around it, you know, just like anything would.
Every student we talked to admitted drug use at Nicolet is widespread.
Plenty. I don't think they found a percentage. I mean, it's sad to say, but I don't think they found a percentage of what they were looking for. I mean,
there are some bathrooms you go in, it's misty and it's all smoke and it smells like pot.
Naomi Pekovsky agrees that drug use is a big problem, but approves of today's raid.
There is a big drug problem at Nicolet, and it's sad that they had to resort to this way in solving the problem.
And her father approves too.
I think it's sad that it had to come to this, but I also agree with her that there is a drug problem at Nicolet, and I think it has to be dealt with, and I think it has to be dealt with on a fairly severe basis.
Joyce, not all parents feel that way, obviously. One father I talked to, whose son was arrested, said he thought it was entrapment and a witch hunt, and he's thinking about filing suit.
Plus, there's also the future deterrent of all this for kids.
Yeah, if they do it again, especially.
Thanks, Jeff.
A Milwaukee school bus driver, public school bus driver, was dragged from his bus and badly beaten this afternoon. So he was rushed to the...
Consider having a little more...
Killing Lisa Chihosky. Esker is charged.
And there were no children on board at the time.
There was some question before about Chad Getch's mental competency. There was none to...
A pair of trappers discovered the body of a newborn baby boy in rural Kenosha County.
Today...
Good evening, I'm Melody Wilson.
And I'm Mike Jacobs. Some parents and students have questions about civil rights, but there seems to be quite a bit of support tonight for a major drug search at Nicolet High School. 3 students were arrested as a team of police swept through the hallways and the parking lot today. News 4 reporter Mark McLaughlin got reaction from students and parents tonight.
Although most of the people at tonight's basketball game between Nicolet and Whitefish Bay knew of the drug sweep at Nicolet today, the topic of conversation centered on the game. But earlier today, when they first heard the news,
I was shocked and surprised.
Today, Glendale police, sheriff's deputies, and drug-sniffing dogs searched virtually every car in the Nicolet parking lot, both student and faculty. Glendale police say the dogs led them to 5 cars, but when searched, 3, such as this car, were found to have no drugs at all. 2, however, did have small amounts of marijuana. Inside the school, virtually all of the lockers were checked or searched.
Despite the fact that these drugs...
Deputies led 2 drug-sniffing dogs through the school parking lot. The animals hit on several cars, and Glendale police were there to search them. Inside, police searched lockers and came up empty, but plenty of interest by the dogs.
Which would indicate to me that they're at some point in time.
I think it's a good idea that it has to be stopped in the school, and I think this is one of the only ways that it can be done.
Eric Hammer's freshman son at Nicolet was searched by deputies today, but neither he or his son objected.
I don't mind it. I mean, the school has a responsibility to keep the environment as drug-free as humanly can be.
I have some objections to it because of civil liberties, but I also feel as a parent somehow, somewhere, we have to protect our children.
Down was the idea of Nicolet school administrators who say they doubt if there's a school in the country that doesn't have a drug problem.
But just how intensive is it?
In bringing in these massive law enforcement authorities, disrupting an entire school day, intruding upon the privacy of a variety of students for whom there is no individualized suspicion of illegal activity.
But similar concerns seemed lost tonight.
The few Nicolet students we talked with tonight who were troubled by the drug sweep seemed less concerned about privacy than the image it's given their school.
Making such a big deal about it, and they think that Nicolet is a drug school. You know, we're a college prep school. That's what we're known as. We're not known as a drug school.
Boyd Hooper, TV6 News, Whitefish Bay.
Nicolet's principal says the sweep would have been considered successful even if no arrests had been made. She says the important thing is the message has been sent to students that drugs will not be allowed. A department store worker at Mayfair Mall is in critical condition tonight. The woman was airlifted to Milwaukee County Medical Complex tonight after she...
Alcohol and drugs, because they are like kids everywhere.
But after 20 years in the Elmbrook district, teacher Rick Seinold says the problem isn't what it used to be.
I've seen it thin out. Kids aren't doing the hard drugs. There's not as many doing it. Alcohol is still prevalent.
And like Brookfield Central, a lot of schools are fighting back with student assistance programs. That's where teachers keep an eye out for students having drug or alcohol problems. Then the teachers try to get the students help. And the way a lot of parents see it, schools have to do whatever they can to cut down on student drug use in the city and in the suburbs. It seems schools everywhere are another line of defense in the war on drugs. Jerry Grayson, Channel 12 News, Whitefish Bay.
And those 2 students from Nicolet we were talking about earlier, they were arrested. They have been released to their parents tonight. It's believed that the raid using drug-sniffing dogs is the first of its kind in our area. And as far as the legal questions about that kind of a search, the school did check with a lawyer. The lawyer maintains the searches were not a violation of student